You might not know this, but this YouTube channel started out as a podcast, also called Studio Builder. One thing that's always frustrated me about producing podcasts is that discoverability for topically related podcasts is extremely low. So in this video, I'm going to quickly run down my favorite photography podcasts and give you a list of my top five default. What's up, everybody? My name is Kevin Patrick Robbins, and this is Studio Builder. I'm going to do this as a countdown from number 5 to number 1, so buckle in. All of these podcasts are still available for you to listen to. Not all of them are still pushing out episodes, but every single one of them is great. So let's ride this vibe and get right into the list. Coming in at number 5 is Photo Biz X. Andrew Helmich's Photo Biz X has more than 500 episodes with a new episode released every week. Each episode features an interview with a photographer or a photography business coach with focused advice on a specific topic to improve your business. Some of the episodes in this podcast have literally fundamentally shaped my photography career and influenced a number of strategies around my marketing and promotions. So subscribe to the podcast right after you click the button below and subscribe to this channel. I'm trying to reach 5,000 subscribers, and only you can help make that happen. So let's make that happen. Number 4 is Photo Pros Podcast with Rob Noel. Robert Noel has been a friend and mentor to me for many years. He interviewed me for my artist talk at my exhibit recently, and his interviews with some of my favorite photographers are stellar. While he hasn't published many episodes, only 8, every single one of them is with a rock star photographer you will pretty much never hear from on any other podcast. His interviews include Chris Nichols, Art Streiber, and Jill Greenberg. They are fantastic. And that's why, even with only 8 episodes, this makes my top 5. Coming in at number 3 is the Candid Frame. With more than 600 episodes under his belt, Ibarionex Perello is the podcast king of photography. His exceptional storytelling, fantastic interviews, and let's admit it, his sultry, sugary voice make this one of my longtime favorites. I'm not usually a fan of long interview podcasts. In fact, I kind of hate them, but this one I make an exception for. I just dial the speed up to 1.3 times. Coming in at number 2 is Full-Time Photographer. For quite a while, when this podcast started, Josh Rossi was pumping out an episode every Monday through Friday. The questions were almost always the same, and the format is clearly based on the Entrepreneur on Fire podcast. There's clearly a connection there since Josh also did the artwork for that same podcast. Despite the somewhat repetitive nature of the show, this podcast featured nearly 300 interviews with commercial photographers, editorial photographers, advertising photographers in an easily digestible format in episodes shorter than 30 minutes. It's the perfect length for a commute or a walk around the neighborhood. And while you can probably only find the last 100 episodes online, I managed to download every episode and have them on a Plex server so I can listen to them over and over again. That's how inspiring this podcast was and is to me. So it sticks the landing in the number 2 position. Before I get to the number 1 podcast, please tap that like button below if you're finding this at all helpful. And that brings us to my number 1 pick and what I consider to be the best photography podcast in existence. It's Heather Elder's Dear Art Producer. Heather Elder is a photo agent who interviews art producers about their careers and how they approach hiring and working with commercial photographers. She covers everything from bidding to treatments to working on set to the transition from stills production to integrated production. If you are a commercial photographer, this is the most peel back the curtains information you could ever wish for. This podcast is so important to me that I spent some time last year trying to help her team improve the audio of the podcast. Heather's voice was sometimes hard to hear, and I'd be in my car turning the audio up and down constantly because the episodes weren't normalized and mastered. That's not her fault. It's not her team's fault. They're photo agents. They're not audio engineers. Now, I'm not sure if our conversations helped or if they figured it out on their own, but the latest episodes sound fantastic. Heather, if you're seeing this or your team is seeing this, I would love it if you could run all of your older episodes through Aphonic or Adobe's Enhanced Speech AI and then re-upload the new files. You don't need to republish them, just overwrite the original audio files in the original episodes and you're good to go. People can just go back to the old episodes and when they download it, they'll be downloading the new files. No need to update your feed at all. I'll link to both of those websites in the description below for you. And that's it. That's it for my list. Leave a comment and let me know what your favorite photography podcast is or if you've just found some new gems to inspire you. Take care of yourself. I'll see you in the next one.